Money's around.
Your call cannot be completed. Please check the number and dial again.
Hello, WWE Podcast World. Ladies and gentlemen, from coast to coast and around the world, it is time for your Monday morning pro wrestling talk show with your hosts, Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan, as they bring to you Good Morning WWE. Now show your love and put your hands together for Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan.
Good morning, WWE.
Good morning, WWE. That's right. We're back for another edition of Good Morning, WWE.
Hello.
How you doing this morning, babe?
Great. How are you?
Pretty good. We got this cup of Joe right now.
Yes.
So guess what, guys? We're going to give you a nice edition of Good Morning, WWE right here through your ears. So, first up, we're going to do something different, okay? It's WrestleMania season. We right outside, so we're going to focus on a couple WrestleMania theme items. You know, I'm not going to give you no news this week. We're not going to give you no analyzations or nothing like that. We're going to give you some WrestleMania facts, stats, figures, all that good stuff, you know, to get you ready for the WrestleMania season. And also, we got a special guest coming on today. Because guess what? Last week, as you heard, I'm a pretty good podcaster. I got to actually crop the stuff together. So you got to hear Twitty, excuse me. You got to hear Kanye Twitty. Our conversation with him, a great conversation. And you got to hear about our WWE 2K23 analysis as well. But this week, we got none other than Michael Ritter. A great conversation we had with my guy, and, you know, great guy. He part of the Casual Wrestling crew, and guess what? Right here on Good Morning WWE, we're going to drop a bomb for Michael Riddle, sir. There you go. There go the bomb for you.
Bomb.
So, right after this, we're going to head straight into our first one. So, guess what? You wasn't ready for this, guys. It's going to be a different look on WWE. We got a different take on WWE and some of the stuff they may or may not inflate. So, right after this, keep listening.
WWE PLE attendance.
That's right, guys. So, guess what? Since it's WrestleMania season, you know, I've been doing some WrestleMania research. And some of you guys, I'm pretty sure most of you, because half of you is at least avid watchers. So, we was looking up and we seen on WrestleMania 32, which was branded as one of the most attended WrestleManias with over 101,000 people. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that was highly inflated. Actually, they said the numbers was closer to 81 or 84. And, you know, Vince McMahon said that wasn't all paying. So maybe he got 20,000 employees. Probably not. So, yes, obviously we know WWE inflates their numbers of attendance. But guess what? We want to talk about current numbers. Different PLEs that's happened in the past, and we're going to tell you if we think the number that WWE gave us was correct, or if we think they inflated it and it's a load of crap.
Let's do it. We're
going to start off, and this was a big one. We're going to start off with Clash at the Castle. That was a great PLE, great main event between Drew and Roman, and that had 62,296 fans in attendance. So, you know, that was a big PLE, wasn't it? So let's get a clap out there to the fans in Cardiff. But the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales holds about 78,000 people in a boxing configuration. So we got 62,000 people in Cardiff, Wales to see Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship of the world. And that was the first time the WWE had been in Britain in a long time. Mm-hmm. So, I think, I'm going to be real, guys, I think that's a true number. I think that's fact. What do you think, Miss Casual Wrestling Fan?
I think that's fact.
I think that's fact, too. So, guess what? Now, let's be honest about our fact. We're saying within a few thousand. So, yes, they might have inflated a little bit, but I think that was fact. It looked big, and if you went to Cardiff, write in and tell me if you think it was false to the mailbag. But we're going to ding it, and, yeah. So, let's see what else we got. What's the next one we got on the list, Miss Casual?
SummerSlam 2022.
Ooh.
48,449.
Ooh.
Now, Nissan Stadium here in Nashville holds 69,143. And this is a football stadium.
All right. So they said it was 48,449,000 people in attendance. And guess what? Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan was in attendance, and we seen the PLE live. So do we think that that's true, or do we think that's false? I mean, I'm going to be honest, guys. We was there, and we know Nissan Stadium. I seen the other side completely empty. So I think that's false.
Yeah, they sectioned it off.
They sectioned it
all
off.
blacked and tarped out.
And our stadium holds close to 70,000, and I don't think it was nowhere near 50 in that stadium. What do you think, Miss Casual Wrestling Fan?
I completely agree.
All right, so guess what? If I had to put on a number on it, I'd say it was closer to 40. 40, maybe 42 max, but
yeah,
you know,
that's a good number.
Because you remember we were sitting up top, and during the matches people sit down, but when people was coming out, they would run over to their barricade to make it look full. So I think they unfortunately they inflated that number some. So let's see what we have next. Next we have the Royal Rumble 2023. And it was 51,338,000 people in attendance. That was in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. And it holds 52,000 in a wrestling configuration, which is expandable to 60,000. So they said theirs max holds about 60,000 in a wrestling configuration. And WWE said it was 50,338 in attendance. So now, I wasn't live. I know Rocky T was live. Yeah. And he might write into the mailbag and tell us whether he agrees or disagrees. But I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm kind of leaning to disagree on this one. Now, I might be wrong. I wasn't there. But what do you think, Mr. Casper? I'm almost saying disagree. Now, the Royal Rumble is a big event. But I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I mean,
I don't know about this. I think. So guess what? Yeah, I don't know. This is gonna be tough. Rocket T right in. So, but I'm kind of thinking not. But we're gonna let Rocket T right into the mailbag because I know he listens. Tell us if you think it was 51,000 people in attendance because you went. So, what do we have up next? Yeah, go ahead, Miss Cutler.
In the bank, 12,076 people.
12,000 people?
That's what it said. But that stadium at MGM Grand Gordon Arena, Las Vegas, holds 17,000. So you have 17,000 versus their number, which was 12,776.
So they only had 12,000 people.
76.
12,000 people. And 12,078 people go to the Money in the Bank this past year. And guys, if you remember, they were supposed to be in the new Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, but ticket sales were so horrible they had to move to the Grand Garden, MGM Grand Garden, and 12,000 people went to see it. So, you know what, guys? I'm thinking that's true.
Me too.
I think that's true. So, WWE, I think they told the truth on that one. So, next, we're going to go to the 2023 Elimination Chamber. It was 17,271 in attendance. That was at the Bell Center in Montreal. It holds 23,000 in an MMA configuration. So, Miss Casual Wrestling Fan, you know what, guys? I was sitting here thinking about this one, and I'm not even gonna drag it off. I think that's a real number. Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, hometown hero.
Agree.
Yeah. I think they got that one right. So shout out to WWE for that one. I think that's one they got right. So we want to give you some attendance. If we agree, disagree, not that it matters, guys. You know, some of this stuff is for fun. So we don't want you to take it with a grain of salt. But right here on Good Morning America, you know, that's some of the stuff we like to do. And guess what? Right after this, WWE. Good morning. We're going to get to our next segment. So keep listening. Well, guess what? I guess we're going to jump right into our next segment. You like that? See, you didn't even have to wait for it. You know what I mean? We're going to hop right in. We live. So, next. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and announce it. I announce it. Next is most losses in WrestleMania history. So, guess what, guys? We're going to give it to you right here. We're bringing it to WrestleMania Facts. We're going to give you the superstars who have the most losses in WrestleMania history. And Miss Casual Wrestling fan, who's number one? First person we're going to give him at home.
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton?
9 losses.
Randy Orton? 9 losses? Oh my God. 9 losses for Randy. I get you guys didn't know that. So next, you got Y2J, Chris Jericho with 9 losses.
Wow.
Can you believe that? What? Oh my goodness. But guess what, guys? He's 5-9 overall. So, that ain't too bad for your boy, Y2J, Chris Jericho. So, Miss Casual Wrestling fan, who do you got next for us?
Well, it's a very unfavorable Shawn Michaels with 6-11 overall.
6, and how many losses he got? He's got
6
11.
wins, 11 losses.
Okay, so he's got 11 losses, and he's 6-11 overall. So 11 losses for Shawn Michaels. Wow, that's kind of shocking, guys.
That is very shocking now. That is shocking.
And then we got Kane with 11 losses. What? Kane got 11 losses. I can't believe it.
And then you have Big Show with 12 losses.
Can you believe it? Big Show with 12 losses? Like, that's crazy. Like, can you believe it? The Big Show?
Yeah.
Didn't he lose to Mayweather?
Did he?
Yeah, then he lose to Mayweather. Oh, my God. I can't believe it.
Then we have 4-12 overall with Big Show.
For the Big Show. He's 4 wins and 12 losses
Okay,
overall.
Big Show.
So,
Okay.
well, that's still bad. I
That
mean,
is very bad.
only 4 wins.
I thought he did better.
I thought he would have
Right?
too.
Or higher in score.
Hey, lastly, most losses in WrestleMania history.
Who?
Guess who it goes to, guys?
Who?
Let's give him a second to think at home. I know they're shouting out none other than your current head of creative.
Aw.
What they call him, Paul Triple H Levesque.
Oh, no.
With 13 losses. Can you believe it?
Yeah, he is held as a great.
Hey, are you awake? If you weren't awake, you're awake now.
That woke you up.
But guess what? Triple H is 10-13 overall. So that's good.
He's half and half.
Yeah, hey, that's more than half and half. Well, no, it's not. It's almost half and half, but it's still good. So we want to give you guys the most losses in WWE history. And keep listening to us, and we're going to give you next. Well, guess what? You got to keep listening to see what we're going to give you next. Right here on Good Morning WWE. Wrestlers who never won at WrestleMania.
William Regal, 2 losses.
2 losses for William Regal.
Wow. Yeah.
Paul Orndorff, 2 losses. Poor Paul.
Jimmy Snuka, 3 losses.
Or how about the Dudley Boys? 4 losses, no wins.
Oh. Finley, 4 losses.
4 losses for Fit Finley. And lastly, wrestlers who never won at WrestleMania. Never, ever. Goldust.
Oh.
With 7 losses.
Unlucky number 7.
So those are your superstars who never won at WrestleMania. Guess what, guys? Well, that ain't the casual versus casual bell. That's the winners and losers bell. So guess what? We got our winners list and our losers list. That's right. Right here on Good Morning WWE, we're going to give you who we think is the winners and losers of the show. And guess how we're going to determine winners and losers? We're going to use Triple H's bookings for the wins and losses to give you our wins and losers right here on Good Morning WWE. So first up, we're going to start with the losers list. We got to start with the people losing, your jobbers.
Yeah, let's see that.
And let's see if some of your favorites have made it to this list. So first off, on the losers list, that's right, the losers list starts off with Bayley with 1 win and 15 losses. Can you believe that? Bailey?
Oh no, it gets worse. Baron Corbin comes in with a unlucky 0 wins, but 14 losses, guys. Can you believe it?
14 losses for bum-ass Corbin. Then we got Vinci and Kaiser of Imperium with 3 wins and 13 losses.
Followed with Chad Gable with 0 wins and 12 losses.
Guess what, guys? You got Sonya Deville with 0 wins and 12 losses.
Boo. LA Knight comes in with, well, 1 win, but 11 losses.
Then you got Seth freaking Rollins. Who? Seth freaking Rollins, 4 wins, 13 losses.
Oh, Seth. Then you have Io Sky with 4 wins, but 11 losses, guys.
Guess what, guys? That was your losers list. Now, can you believe it? Bailey.
Wow.
1 win, 15 losses.
That's unbelievable.
Guess what, Triple H? I don't agree with that, do you?
No.
I don't agree with that. Baron Corbin,
I
you
don't
get
like
it. Bum-ass Corbin, guess what, buddy? You deserve it.
You do.
Yeah, you really do, man.
You do.
Guess what, guy? That's what you deserve, bum-ass. Vinci and Kaiser, they don't deserve that. 13 losses? They're supposed to be a credible group.
That's awful.
They're supposed to be credible. They don't deserve that. Triple H, you get an act for them. Sonya?
Yeah. I can't believe that. They're doing her so just negatively.
I don't think they should do Chad Gable like that, but I understand it.
I don't,
Just to be real.
Honestly.
Now, LA Knight, nope.
Yeah, that's
Seth
messed
Rollins?
up. Come on.
Seth Rollins?
Io Sky, man.
Okay, Io Sky maybe. So guess what?
That's okay. She's
Good morning.
new.
Good morning. Wake
She's
up.
not established.
Exactly.
All the way.
So guess what we're going to do, guys? We're going to
What?
flip over right now. We're going to go to your winners list.
Winners list.
These are the guys and girls that's out here dropping bombs. That's doing what they supposed to do.
That's right.
And these the guys that deserve a round of applause. And we're going to start off first with Bray Wyatt, who's on a roll with 8 wins and 0 losses.
0.
So shout out to your boy Bray Wyatt.
How about shout out to the girl Charlotte Flair out there? 12 wins and 0 losses for the queen.
Ooh-wee, the queen doing her thing. But guess what? Don't forget about your boy Cody Rhodes. He got 9 wins and 0 losses.
People are not ready for Asuka with her 7 wins and 1 loss streak. Come on now.
Ooh. Then we got Austin Theory, the future, the now, the forever champion. 11 wins, 2 losses.
Solo Sikoa comes in. 11 wins and 2 losses.
Shout out to Solo. You gotta love Solo. Then you got Bianca Belair, the EST.
Yeah.
8 wins, 0 losses.
That's right for the EST. Then you have Jimmy Uso.
Ooh, so
He came in with 13 wins and only 2 losses.
shout out to Jimmy.
Shout out, Jimmy.
So these are the guys and girls that's on your winners list. So stand up.
Congratulations.
Bray Wyatt, 8 wins.
Wow, 0 losses.
Shocking. Charlotte Flair, the queen.
0 losses.
She's still the queen.
That's right.
Who we got? Cody Rhodes.
0 losses.
Still doing it. Asuka, she got 1 blemish,
has
but she
one.
look good. Austin Theory, he got 2 blemishes, but he look good.
He's a rookie.
Bianca Belair, clean. Solo.
EST.
Guess what? Solo Sikoa, he really, if it wasn't for Gunther,
He's the problem.
I think he'd be the newcomer. You know, if it wasn't for Gunther is probably the best call up right now.
Right.
But Solo right on his ass. And I'm just going to
agree.
be honest. Shout out to Jimmy. Jimmy's still holding it down.
Shout out to Jimmy.
You know,
Although I know the end is coming.
guess what? I'm still a Jay fan. I like Jay more than
Jay
Jimmy.
is cool. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I want to ask all the people, the listeners out there,
Yeah.
and fans.
If you're listening.
Who is your favorite twin of the Uso twins?
Right into the
I
mailbag.
have to know. I absolutely have to know. Because it's crazy to think that people could choose between a twin as a favorite.
Well, we do, because you like Jimmy and I like Jay.
That is true.
And guess what? It's all about Jimmy over here.
All right.
I mean, Jay. See there. She
See,
got me.
guys,
She
he
got me.
knows the truth.
She
You
got
can't
me.
deny it.
And also one person we left off the list, which you obviously know, is number one, is Roman Reigns with 3
That's right.
wins.
That's right.
Unblemished as well. So
Yeah.
guess what, guys? I want you to keep listening, because on the other side of this, we got a good conversation
It's good.
with our guy. And guess what? We're a wrestling community. So guess what? We're going to start calling people our neighbors. So guess what? Our neighbor, Michael Ritter's coming in. We had our neighbor, Kanye Twitty. We got our other neighbor. Guess what? We ain't gonna tell you who until he comes here. And we got a round table with all our neighbors. I guess we call it a town hall.
There we
It's
go.
not a round table, it's a town hall. So we're gonna have our town hall coming up. See there, we come up with stuff on the fly. Listen to us. You know, we don't edit. We straight off the hip. We not like some of these other podcasters who get a chance to edit and make their stuff, you know, sound good. You get it raw, uncut, one take right here on, guess what? Good Morning America. And if I see, I did it again right here on Good Morning WWE. Miss Castle Wrestling fan told me, she said, you said Good Morning America. I said, no, I didn't. Yes, I did.
you did.
So that's how you know we one take, unedited, good fun.
That's
but
right.
as I said, keep listening right here to Good Morning WWE. On the other side of this, we got our interview with Michael Ritter coming up, and keep listening. And until then, guess what? You the twos, and we the ones. Good morning, WWE. Guess what? It's Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan here. And Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan. And we brought him on. We got another guest co-host for you. You might know him. I'm not even going to introduce him. I'm going to let him introduce himself to the people that are at home. So guess what? Take it away.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Good Morning WWE podcast, where I have the privilege, me being Michael Ritter, the host of, or one of the hosts of the SmackDown review right here on the WWE podcast, but I have the privilege of being joined by Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan, or should I say I have the privilege of joining them, being this is their show, and I definitely appreciate you guys having me on. I listened to the Kanye Twitty edition where you guys talked about the 2K ratings, and then obviously had that interview with him, and I mean, I love just the whole setup of the show. Obviously, you guys' intro is absolute fire. Like that right there alone, I was like, oh, I cannot wait to go on this show. And then obviously just seeing what the show was all about. Like I like the little stings, you know, the audio stings you guys throw in from time to time, like the bomb drop and all that good stuff. I really like the show. So obviously, you know, I appreciate you guys for letting me come on.
That's right. You know how we do it. And speaking of, we love our intro. Drop a bomb for DJ Twitty. Drop a bomb for my boy Kuzmo. Hey, great intro, and thank you so much. We appreciate it. Hey, we love the SmackDown review, and guess what? Check out Football Function. Let's talk about that. You know, the Eagles, I hate to do it, guys. We're going to interlude for 30 seconds. The Eagles was robbed. I just want to say that. The referees took control of that game, and I was unhappy as a fan.
I could totally see why. I could totally see your frustration. Losing the Super Bowl, man, that is definitely something that sticks with you, obviously, not just that next day and the next weeks, but the whole off season. And depending on how the next year goes, it could even linger on, which I'm sure you know, being a Patriots fan, you've experienced both sides of the Super Bowl coin. And obviously now Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan getting a chance to get a taste of that. And, you know, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but hey, the Eagles' future is bright, man. 10th overall pick, cap space, you guys are good to go.
Yes, and Jay Hurts, hey, it hurts so good, and he looks really great. But guess what? Let's go ahead and segue back into wrestling. Let me ask you, sir, who is your favorite of all-time wrestler?
Of all time, man. All right, well, just a quick little set the stage really quickly is I was a WCW guy growing up, and it's not because it was my choice given I was born in 1993, so I was only around 6-7 years old whenever WCW was actually, you know, relevant and watchable. So that was who I was exposed to early in my wrestling fandom. So I have to say it's a little bit of a toss-up. I got to say between Goldberg and Sting, just what they did for WCW for me as a young wrestling fan. I got to touch Sting as like a 5 or 6 year old kid at a live event, and that kind of just set the tone for me. So if I had to give the edge, probably Goldberg. And I know that's a terrible answer in 2023. People are like, "Are you kidding me, Goldberg?" But keep in mind, I was a 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid, and I wasn't really looking for the technical wrestlers. I was just looking for the ones that, you know, caught my attention. So I probably have to give the all-time edge to Goldberg with a Sting very, very close second.
Hey, I like that answer.
Okay.
Hey, you gotta like Goldberg.
I like Sting. I'm sorry, buddy.
I like
do
Sting.
not like Goldberg.
I like Sting.
I like
Sting.
Gilbert.
Gilbert
I
is
don't
hilarious.
like Goldberg.
Yeah, how you feel about Gilbert, Michael Ritter?
I thought that was pretty funny, obviously. So I wasn't familiar with it during the actual 90s, but whenever Goldberg actually came to WWE in like 2003 or whatever it was, and he had his run on Monday Night Raw, and then they brought in Gilbert, then I was like, oh man, this is something else for sure. But yeah, I mean, I totally understand. Like, Goldberg isn't everybody's cup of tea whatsoever, and I won't even push back when people say, oh, I hate Goldberg. I'm like, hey, I totally understand, because he's not a quote unquote like true pro wrestler, but I mean, keep in mind, he was a former Atlanta Falcon, so that kind of has a little bit of bias for me there as well.
And guess what? This proves a point. As a wrestling fan, you like who you like and you don't who you don't. And guess what? You got the right to like who you like. People trash Nia Jax. I don't hate on Nia Jax like that.
Never hate, appreciate.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But let's see, Miss Casual Wrestling Fan, you got something?
No, I'm just, who is your favorite current wrestler at this moment?
See, now that one's a little bit, I gotta admit, it's a little bit tougher to answer, because for the longest time, I was a massive, massive Roman Reigns fan. Like, I have a picture with him that I got here in Amarillo, Texas, when it was a live event. And obviously the babyface era, that's when I was a massive Roman fan, when the crowd was just decimating and booing him out of every single arena, no matter what. As soon as his intro hit, bam, the crowd would just start booing immediately, almost as if it was piped in crowd noise. And I constantly got flack for it. I constantly got flack for being a Roman Reigns fan. And obviously, as he's transitioned into this new version of himself, and his character is just, skyrocketed, and now there's no shortage of Roman Reigns fans. Just go look at a pay-per-view, especially a pay-per-view, whenever he has a meaningful match. Just take a little scroll throughout the crowd and see exactly how many ones are in the sky. And obviously, I was at WrestleMania. I was at the Royal Rumble. I've kind of witnessed him have actual matches against worthy opponents, and it was pretty telling. But if I have to say right now who my just organic favorite is, I gotta give it to Gunther. Honestly, Gunther is one of my favorites right now. Just for some reason, his credibility, what he brings to the Intercontinental Championship, I love everything about it. And I feel like he's a little bit of like you don't want to say poor man's Roman, but if you look at his title, or his title run, I should say, he's a little bit of a unbeatable force himself.
Yeah.
Hey, let's drop a bomb.
I would have to agree.
Let's drop a bomb for Gunther. I mean, good guy. Like, he said a mouthful when you spoke.
I mean, he has potential, like, so much.
And let me be honest about something with you real quick. You said a great statement there, Michael Ritter. Fans at home and listeners, some of you have not experienced a Roman Reigns one-on-one match for the WWE Undisputed Championship. And, we went to SummerSlam. We got to see him go against Brock Lesnar when he flipped the ring with the tractor for the belt. And I agree with you, Michael. When you see him actually fight, not a dark match in a triple or a tag team, a 6-man tag, you get those dark matches. But to actually see him fight for the belt, that's priceless. That's untimely. So I totally agree with you on that.
Just the whole vibe in the stadium.
Yes, the atmosphere. The vibes, so I agree with you. Now, Gunther, I agree with you on Gunther as well. I like Gunther.
Yeah.
Hey.
He's cool.
He really is. So, hey, let me segue a little bit. Now, let's talk about Triple H. That's a hot button topic for a lot of people, and I try to make it even hotter because I feel like, in my opinion, I don't think Triple H is doing as great a job as everybody's giving him credit for, and that's fine. That's my opinion, and guess what? I'm nobody special. Now, I'm not sitting up here saying that Vince McMahon is better. So everybody who emails us to the mailbag, keep calm. But I do want us to analyze Triple H and his booking decisions because, it's easy just to say, hey, this is fresh and new, a couple new camera angles, but is it really better? So, Michael Ritter, right here on Good Morning WWE, I want to talk to you about Triple H. So how do you feel he's been doing? This is just a general question. You know what I mean? Take it where you want to take it. But how do you feel Triple H is doing currently?
I feel like at first it was a little bit of a hot start, right? Like you could almost tell immediately some of the changes between the way Triple H ran things and the way Vince McMahon ran things. Now, I don't know if that was just because we were so used to Vince's style for so long that almost just like if you're in a long relationship, right? And then almost like as soon as you break up with that person, days and like the first days and weeks after that, it's a little bit different. You can immediately tell the differences. And I feel like that was kind of the way WWE was immediately upon Triple H taking over. And I felt like he was kind of leaning a little bit too much on returns, like guys who got fired and he brought back, whether it's Gargano or Hit Row, or, I mean, I think even, I don't know if Karrion Kross was let go or not, but I for some reason, I feel like at the beginning he was leaning a little bit too much on bringing people back, and that's where the pops were. That's where the immediate prisoner of the moment, you could say, people were just like, man, Triple H is just absolutely bringing wrestling back. Like, is WWE back to what we respected it as, whether it's the Ruthless Aggression era, Attitude era? But me personally, I do feel like it has slowed down a little bit. I mean, I don't know, because people talk about, well, Vince McMahon is supposedly back. Well, I don't know. Nobody truly knows whose fingerprints are on it, you know, as we speak right now. But I think that, I mean, as of right now, Triple H has that title. Triple H is the one who is, I guess he's got the keys to the car. And if I just give my personal opinion, I feel like it has slowed down a little bit. And that's one thing. I feel like Vince McMahon, now I'm just talking about the booker. I don't have, you know, an opinion to share on Vince McMahon, the person, you know, but the Vince McMahon, the booker, I feel like he got a little bit too much hate, to be completely honest, because it is difficult to be in his position for as long as he's been there and still produce constant 5-star products. And that's the thing, is I'm not covering up anything. Like, I know there has been some very awful booking decisions, like, from Vince McMahon. It's not just the out of WWE. It is the NWW or inside of WWE as well. You can point your finger at several, whether it's storylines, decisions that he made, where you can just say, all right, I flat out disagree with that, and it's not the way I would have done it. But I feel like Triple H has that too. Like, you can't please everybody, and no matter how much people love Triple H the wrestler, Triple H the booker is eventually going to ruffle some people's feathers. And I feel like this year he kind of was tested with that, with the whole Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes. How is he going to approach the Royal Rumble winner, and who's going to face Roman? And I think this decision right here is going to be pretty critical. It's almost like a crossroads for Triple H. But if I were to give it a grade, just to sum all that up quickly with an answer, I'll give Triple H like a B+.
All right, you said a mouthful when you said a crossroads. You are so true. It really is a crossroads for Triple H. And just to go over a couple of things you said, which made a lot of, you know, it hit me. What you said about Vince McMahon, I got to applaud that, because a lot of people give Vince McMahon a lot of hate that I feel like he doesn't deserve, because he was the one to have to do this for generations. I mean, you can't even say years. I mean, we had generations under the control of Vince McMahon, and Triple H is in his first, you know, year. I guess we're about 8 to 9 months in, and I'm not saying that he's doing a bad job for everybody listening at home, but I agree with you. How is he going to handle the main event spot at WrestleMania? You know what I mean? And that's something that we have to think about. And to segue into my next question, because you gave him a B+, and that's pretty favorable. And you talked about returns for a second. How do you view or grade his returns? Because me as a fan, I don't really care much for his returns. Now, like you said, I was at SummerSlam, and I seen Bayley come out. Oh my God, EO. Oh my God, Dakota Kai. Oh my God, this is going to be cool. But guess what? At the end of the day, we stuck with jobbers. And that's something that we talked about earlier in the show. You got Bayley with 1 win and 15 losses. And this is a returner. You got EO Sky with 4 wins, 11 losses. Returner. LA Knight, 1 win, 11 losses. I mean, what is really going on? Like, that's really what I want to get down to. So I'm going to put it on you. I want you to grade the returners. What do you got?
See, the returners, that's a lot more underwhelming in my personal opinion, because number one, just a quick disclaimer, like, I'm not a big fan of Hit Row. I really never have been. It's not necessarily that I'm not a fan of their gimmick, because we've seen that type of gimmick work before, you know, like the almost like a musical group style of like performance. But I just feel like theirs is too babyfied, and it's tough because we are in a quote unquote PG era right now. But I've said it on my show several times. They are a Disney Channel rap group that I feel like is kind of being forced down our throat, and none of them, if I'm being completely honest, is really that talented inside the ring. Now, I feel like Ashanti the Adonis could have a little bit of a more favorable run in WWE, if he would kind of distance himself, maybe, I don't know, go back to NXT, pursue the Cruiserweight Championship or something like that. I don't really know, because that segues into my next point is I'm not too, I guess, up to speed on the current NXT product, but I did watch back when Gargano, Candice LeRae, and that era were back in NXT. And I mean, I'm a fan of them, but at the same time, I'm just like, they're not doing anything like you alluded to on the main roster since their return. It's like I said, he was too lenient or reliant is a better word for it on those returns and not necessarily what they're going to do after their returns. It's kind of the same thing that people criticize AEW for, right? They bring in Daniel Bryan, they bring in Adam Cole, CM Punk. Well, what happens after that? Why isn't the gap between WWE and AEW closed despite you guys bringing in these quote unquote big name stars? It's because there's a job to do after that. So if I'm going to have to grade the returns, I got to be honest, I'm probably going to give it maybe a C, and that's just like a passing grade just because the jury is somewhat still out, so to speak. But if you're asking me how they're doing right now, like a progress report before the actual report card comes out, they definitely got to, get some extra credit in to bump that grade up.
I totally agree. I'm not a big fan of the returns. I like you said, I feel like it's AEW, it's WCW, it's just trying to give us returns and then they turn out to be jobbers. So I can agree with that. What do you got, Miss Casual Wrestling Fan?
Do you agree with the current WrestleMania main event?
Oh, that is tough. It really is. I feel like sometimes, I'm sorry, what was that?
I said it really is.
Yes, for sure. And because I feel like sometimes, like a triple threat almost like calls for itself, right? Like I kind of alluded to it again, like the Elimination Chamber. We get the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view at a certain time every year. So no matter what happens throughout the year, we know that we're only going to get it at one point. But if you look at the Intercontinental Championship picture right now with just everybody, how we have, who is it? Kofi Kingston coming out, Karrion Kross, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre. Like we have such a crowded room for the Intercontinental picture. It almost makes sense. Like, man, this would be a great time to have an Elimination Chamber just organically present itself and put that on the WrestleMania card. And that would make that WrestleMania unique from any other because we've never had a chamber on an elimination or on a WrestleMania card. And that kind of, ties me into what I'm saying with the WrestleMania main event is sometimes a triple threat match asks for it and it just presents itself. And I feel like that's kind of the direction we were going. Now, obviously, with kind of the way they've handled things since the Royal Rumble, it's clear Sami Zayn, he's no longer going for Roman Reigns championship. Like we already had that Elimination Chamber in Montreal. That was Sami Zayn's moment. But before that happened, there was a legitimate case to be made that you could have Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn both pursue these championships because technically there are two championships. Now I know I'm not a fan of splitting them up right now. Like Roman Reigns 1-2, the story is about 2. If you were to just make him drop 1 and have him keep 1, it would absolutely like belittle that championship that he does have. Like people, it would just sour the whole thing. It would almost be like I don't know. Kevin Nash used this saying in a documentary not too long ago. It's almost like, if you're in outer space, making the trip to the moon, circling around and just coming back, like without actually stopping there. Like we have been on this journey for Roman Reigns for so long. You have to go to the moon, right? And that's what it feels like this WrestleMania is. In the Cody Rhodes story, it's kind of writing itself. It does make sense. He's doing a great job making it seem like it's a massive match with his promos. Roman Reigns did a damn good job on SmackDown himself talking to Cody Rhodes. I feel like he won that promo easily. If I have to say just really quickly, yes, I am with this championship. I feel like it was the right decision. If you had to make only one, if you had to make him face only one, it makes sense for Cody Rhodes. But I totally would have seen, an avenue that led to Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. But either way, I feel like a triple threat would have made sense as well.
All right, so guess what? Here on Good Morning WWE, we like to hold people's feet to the fire because you said it'd been okay for the triple threat, it'd have been okay for Sammy versus Roman, and it's okay for Cody versus Roman. But guess what? It's never okay. So which one do you want? Do you want the triple threat? Are you happy with Cody versus Roman, or would you prefer Roman versus Sammy?
I'm happy with Cody versus Roman. I am at this point because, like I said, what they've done since. Now, if you would have asked me that question immediately after the Royal Rumble, whenever he turned on Roman Reigns, hit him with the chair. Cody Rhodes just won the Royal Rumble that exact same night. I would have been all for the triple threat and said there's no other way. But now that they've kind of unfolded a little bit and we've let this thing marinate, it makes all the sense in the world. So now, yes, 100%, Cody versus Roman is the match that makes the most sense.
Okay, I like that. So you answered a lot in that. I'm not going to take it. I am going to take one point deeper before I ask one more Triple H question. You brought up about splitting the belts, and everybody that listens to our mailbag takeovers know we always get a lot of questions. Do you think they're going to split the belts? Please split the belts. No, I don't want them to split the belts at all. I don't know why people ask for them to split the belts. Personally, I feel like it demeans one of the belts. It demeans Roman. It demeans whoever beats Roman, because you want to beat Roman for both the belts. So do you agree that they should not split the belts from Roman?
The way you phrase that question, absolutely not. Do not split the belts from Roman. However, if he does, and inevitably when he does drop these titles, he's going to drop them to one person. He's not going to drop one to one and then one to somebody else. So likely, if I was a betting man, I would say he's going to drop both to Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. And if he does, then I feel like going forward, you have to split the belts up at that point once they're on Cody because of the brand split. If there wasn't a brand split, I would be fine. Let's have one champion, just one true champion in the company, the same way they did in the Attitude Era, just one overall champion where there's pretty much no brand split. But if you do have two shows, it just makes too much sense. The roster's too talented at the top. You got guys like Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, even Gunther if he didn't have that Intercontinental Championship. You got guys who are worthy of being the top guy, and they're just caught up in a massive Roman Reigns whirlstorm. And this is they're kind of getting pushed down the card because of that, which is understandable. Nobody's on Roman Reigns' level right now, so he deserves to be at that top spot. But the story is eventually going to come to an end, and I do think, yes, he's going to drop both at the same time. They're not going to get split, but after that, for the sake of the brand split, I would say yes, you got to have one on each show.
Well, yes, I agree. After Roman, I think the belts will get split now. I don't think Cody beats Roman. Do you think Cody beats Roman?
I think he does, only because it would be extremely hard after that to make the loss. Like, I mean, I have seen some reports that I guess they try to make sense of a possibility where, hey, there's a legit shot that Cody Rhodes isn't the guy and he's not going to beat Roman Reigns. And when I've read those, I'm like, you know, I don't get into conspiracy theories, but they make all the sense in the world and I could actually believe it and get on board. But my gut just tells me that they're going to do it for Cody. Like, I just feel like with how over he is right now in the crowd, he's the only person that you could argue for his entrance alone, just with his song, whether it's because people love the song and all the animations that go along with it. People pop for Cody Rhodes' entrance and his song. I was there at the Royal Rumble as well whenever he came out. Obviously, that was his return, so that is a little bit of a curve. But there's videos of him at house shows, on SmackDown, on Raw, and people are all for Cody Rhodes right now. So I feel like if there is anybody to do it, it's him. But it does feel good. I got to admit, it feels good to go into WrestleMania and not know and have legitimate avenues like, man, like I really don't know who's going to win this. So I'm excited for that avenue, but I do predict Cody probably is going to win.
Well, guess what, Mr. Ritter? I'm on the other side of that spectrum. I feel like it's very predictable. I feel like Roman's going to walk away champion again. And Miss Guy's a wrestling fan. She's 50-50. She's kind of split on it, ain't she, baby? Yeah, she kind of split on it, but she agrees with you. You know, she loves the Cody Rhodes thing. I do. That song is great, and I'll give it to you on that. So, what do you think about Triple H booking decisions? I mean, he's got a lot of jobbers like Bayley, as I said earlier, with 1 win and 15 loss. Can you believe that? And we understand Baron Corbin. Obviously, he's a jobber. But then you have people like Vince and Kaiser with 3 wins and 13 losses. Sonya Deville with 12 losses, no wins. LA Knight, 1 win, 11 losses. Seth Rollins, 4 wins, 13 losses. I mean, these are booking decisions, and I know a lot of fans who say, well, you know, wins and losses don't matter in wrestling, but it really does because it tells you what a company thinks of you. I mean, just to be honest, I mean, we know Chad Gable's a jobber, and Chad Gable has 12 losses. We know Baron Corbin's a jobber, 14 losses for that point. So how do you feel about those wrestlers with those amount of losses and Triple H's booking decisions as a whole?
The main one that was alarming to me was Bailey. That's the one that I'm like, why put her in that many matches if you're going to make her lose? Because you don't have to. Like, you go months without putting some of these people in the ring, and nobody really lifts an eye about it. You know, nobody really even notices, or they might notice, but they're not going to clamor for it. Like, what the hell's going on? You know, so that's the one that really jumps out whenever you listed all those names. The other ones, I'd probably have to see who they lost to, because if you look at who they lost to, it might make sense at the end. But to have them stack up like that, you never want to see that. You know, like Vinci and Kaiser, like that's a tag team that I feel like has some credibility behind them, not just because they're with Gunther and Imperium, but because how good they are on the mic. They look the part, obviously, and they're pretty polished inside the ring. So seeing that they stack up losses, LA Knight, him stacking up losses too, I'm not a fan of it. I kind of, because I agree with you, wins and losses absolutely do matter. The only person that kind of defied those odds is Seth Rollins, who could lose for however many times in a row, and the crowd's still going to absolutely chant his intro and still think, man, if he wins the championship tomorrow, everybody would believe it, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at with that. But as far as Triple H's booking, it's tough. It really is, because like I said, I don't know for sure who exactly they lost to stack up, but I don't agree with, you know, having it be that lopsided. Like, you want your roster to all have some credibility. You want your roster to all have some wins under their belt. So making some of the people who you brought back, right, that were unemployed essentially, and you're the ones that brought them back, only to have them lose week in, week out, it does seem like, I don't know, like, what are we doing here?
Exactly. And, you know, just to be honest, I didn't write this person didn't make it to the list because they did have wins, but even people like Gunther, who has lost more matches than he's won. And granted, these are dark matches, and granted, Gunther's in 6-man tags, and the tag loses, and the loss gets attached to his name. But that's still a loss, you know, as I talked about in the past. So, you know, those are great points, and I think wins and losses matter. It's nice to talk to somebody else that agrees with that fact. You know, that's lovely. But we're going to go ahead and close it out. Michael Ritter, so I'm going to pass the mic to you. Hey, talk to the fans at home. Tell them about your social media. Tell them about your shows, your podcasts, you know, inform them about the Michael Ritter experience.
I appreciate that. Well, first and foremost, once again, I want to thank you guys. You know, it was inevitable. Like, I always wondered, like, the mailbag does get that, you know, that pop, right? That ratings boost whenever the casual crew comes on, whether it's before SummerSlam, before Royal Rumble, all those, you know, the PLEs, right? Whenever you guys take over, it's no secret. Ask Matt. I bet those download numbers shoot up. So I always wondered, when are they going to just branch off and have their own show? So once I heard of Good Morning WWE, I mean, during football season, I'm a little bit, you know, plugged away. I'm a little bit, you know, out of the loop when it comes to wrestling, because I got to focus so much on football. So I was like, man, once the season's over, I'm going to definitely try to get with casual so I can get on that show, because just the delivery and everything, you know, I knew it was going to be a phenomenal show, and you guys are absolutely blowing my expectations out of the water. So keep going. That's one thing I wanted to say. You know, I mean, I know, trust me, firsthand, podcasting, it's not easy. Finding the time, editing, it eventually becomes a lot. But when you got people that look forward to your content, like I promised, there are people out there that are looking forward to this very episode right now because they know that it's made by you guys, and y'all are going to do a great job. So once again, thank you guys so much. Continue the great work. I'm looking forward to continuing listening and obviously coming back. But my social media, you can find me on Twitter at Michael5Ritter. Obviously one of the hosts of the SmackDown Review, right here on the WWE podcast, and obviously my show, The Football Function. We're getting into free agency talking about every single team. Every team has an individual episode where we break down their offseason outlook. We're looking at their cap space, draft picks, their individual free agents on their team that they're probably not going to be able to re-sign, who they might sign, what they should do, just the whole 9 yards for every individual team. And obviously Double J, who's a listener here on the WWE podcast, he has his own show now on the Football Function where he covers the XFL. And then we have a college football show as well. So it's a little bit of like football version, right, of the WWE podcast. There's a bunch of different shows, a bunch of different hosts. So definitely go check it out if you are a football fan. I could definitely appreciate that. But other than that, man, one more time, thank you guys so much. Continue the great work.
Hey, you heard it here first. Check out the Football Function. You know, great podcast. Michael Ritter's a great guy. SmackDown Review. You and your host. What's your man's name? I always forget it. I'm so sorry.
John Carrasco.
Shout out to John. We're going to drop a bomb for John right there. Boom. Drop a bomb for John. Drop a bomb for Michael. You know, and I want to thank you for coming on here. Everybody listening at home, we're going to have a round table coming up in 2 weeks. Tweet is going to come back Michael Ritter just made it official. He's coming back. And guess what? We got another guest coming on next week, and we're going to have him on. And we're going to do a round table. We're going to talk to everybody about everything about wrestling. It's going to be a big extravaganza. Good morning, WWE. Long form audio for once. But guess what? Thanks so much, Michael Ritter, for coming in. It's Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan here. I'm with Miss Casual Wrestling Fan. This is Good Morning WWE, and we're gonna sign it off like we always do. Cause guess what? You the twos, and we the one.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.